In the previous episode, Reizo, a Japanese samurai who kills his father-in-law, is tricked by his own friends who were planning to kill him after using him for their own purposes. However, Reizo escapes with the help of Neo. When he finds out that all this, including the death of his father-in-law by his own hands, was planned by his boss, Reizo decides to take revenge. He kills Matsumine, his boss, with his own hands and then joins Yuzui's team, successfully completing a mission. Reizo and Neo walked through town, though Reizu's serious expression stayed the same even as he enjoyed a lavish meal. Neo then took him up to the mountain where the poor lived. Amid a public outcry involving Sakata, a merchant accused of trading opium, Sakata claimed innocence, confused by the accusations as officers found opium hidden inside a statue. Despite his bewilderment, Sakata was quickly arrested, leaving Reizo puzzled. Neo explained that Sakata had failed to repay a debt, becoming a public spectacle as a result. Unaware of his own ignorance, Reizo stated that a true samurai would never behave so badly. Neo teased him, mentioning Reizu's own past actions like killing his father-in-law without remorse as much scarier. Meanwhile, from Soji's viewpoint, Teppa told him that Reizo would be sharing his room. Soji, disapproving of samurais, continued to criticize Reizo, who remained calm. Outside, Neo and Yuen discussed Reizu's involvement with their group. Neo questioned Yuen's unawareness that killers could change, showing her dislike for samurais. Yuen disagreed, earning her admiration. Yuen believed Reizu's attempts to change were significant, avoiding a lifetime of regret without trying. His viewpoint puzzled Neo. Yuen then met with Isarazawa, wondering about his role. Isarazawa reminded him of recent murders, with Reizu suspected due to his sudden disappearance a month earlier. Having once slept under a nearby bridge, Isarazawa grew suspicious of Yuen's involvement and probed for a reaction. Yuen pretended not to know, mocking Isarazawa for threatening an ordinary craftsman. Isarazawa urged Yuen to speak freely, dismissing surveillance concerns, but Yuen remained quiet, mockingly calling him the Pajama Police. Isarazawa mentioned receiving a gold coin during his investigation of Sakata's case, suggesting that someone like Yuen might be better suited for handling it. Meanwhile, Teppa and Neo made a grim discovery: the sickened bodies of Sakata's wife and others. Sakata's wife admitted she had been forced to hide opium inside the statue in exchange for medicine. Teppa grimaced at the sight, realizing the situation was more serious than he first thought. That night, driven by a desire for revenge for Sakata and the others, Soji and Reizo set out to eliminate 5 targets. Soji, always a risk-taker, proposed a challenge to Reizo. Whoever got the most kills could keep their room. Reizo eagerly accepted and swiftly began hunting their targets. Soji planned strategically, expecting Reizo to draw attention to their targets, giving him a chance to steal kills. However, Soji was amazed by Reizu's exceptional stealth and efficiency. After each securing 2 kills, Reizo approached their final target. Before he could strike, Soji intervened, declaring himself the winner of their game. As Soji celebrated, Reizo quickly dealt with a 6th attacker aiming for Soji, evening their scores. Despite feeling uneasy about the extra target, Soji honored their agreement to share a room based on the outcome. Teppa approached Yuen, expressing concerns about Reizo possibly becoming a threat to their team. Yuen acknowledged these concerns but saw something special in Reizo, reaffirming his decision as he examined the gold coin in his hand. Soji continued his daily routine with Reizo, their new roommate who had set up a privacy screen. Reizo ate quietly and spent nights meditating, speaking only when Soji addressed him. Reizo explained he didn't want to disturb Soji, leaving him puzzled by his roommate's solitary habits, comparing it to being in prison. Curious, Soji asked if samurais ever went out to eat. Reizo revealed they rarely had the money for such luxuries, surprising Soji. Soji then asked about Reizo's recent pay cut, which Reizo said he used to buy the privacy screen. Feeling tricked, realizing Reizo struggled even with basic expenses, determined to help, Soji invited Reizo to find a job. Later, discussing this with Neo and Yuen, Soji became the target of Neo's teasing for thinking he could find a job for Reizo while he himself was unemployed. Despite Soji's attempts to place Reizo at Teppa's clinic, patients were uneasy around Reizo's intimidating samurai presence. Reizo's failure at the clinic amused Neo, dismissing the idea of a samurai killer working as an assistant. Yuen suggested Reizo might have had a different role in his past life as a samurai, recalling Reizo's days sleeping and practicing swordsmanship. occasionally teaching sword classes at the castle. Neo was surprised by Reizu's limited skills beyond swordsmanship, proposing her own strategy to attract clients for him. Soji was doubtful, while Yuen wondered if Soji's efforts would pay off by the end of the day. Meanwhile, Soji tried to use Yuen's special painted bowls, suggesting Reizu sell them. Reizu struggled to understand their worth, unaware they were sought after by collectors and merchants. Soji praised their leader's craftsmanship, emphasizing their potential value. Reizu told Soji he struggled with the idea of seeking revenge and wasn't sure if he could balance a day job with nighttime acts of vengeance. Soji, tired of arguing, advised Reizu to focus on finding a job first before worrying about revenge. Meanwhile, Yuen decided to visit the chapel. The head priest praised Yuen's group for their recent successful mission, but surprised them by withholding a gold coin, indicating their revenge mission wasn't finished. According to the priest, Sakata's opium had actually come from a middleman rather than directly from English merchants, giving him an advantage in the market. The priest assigned Yuen's group their next mission: eliminate this middleman. Yuen briefed the team at their meeting place. Soji realized the middleman, Azumiya, had gone into hiding after Sakata's death, staying at his mistress's place. Neo saw a chance to take out both targets, mentioning the mistress's own involvement. Initially confused, Reizu asked why Azumiya's mistress was also a target. Teppa explained she had influenced the merchant's wife, making the situation worse. Yuen's plan involved using an art shop for surveillance, waiting for both targets to appear together one night. Originally assigned the task, Soji suggested Reizu take over, believing him more suitable for the job. Neo struggled because Reizu's imposing presence scared off customers, creating suspicion. Soji acknowledged the problem and emphasized that Reizu needed to act casually for the mission's success. The next day, Reizu started his job as the shopkeeper. As expected, Reizu's intimidating demeanor kept potential customers away from the paintings. He found discarded Japanese-style illustrations on the floor, sparking an idea. Soji and Neo watched him closely for safety. Reizu began to gracefully paint on a sheet of paper, creating a masterpiece in his own unique style. That night, Reizu saw their target enter his mistress's residence, signaling the start of their attack. On Reizu's cue, Teppa fired a large arrow that killed Azumiya instantly. The mistress tried to escape but ran into Yusui Yuen, who swiftly took her out. With their mission complete, the Revengers moved on. Afterward, the original owner returned and was impressed by Reizu's cleanliness and skill. Upon discovering Reizu's exquisite Western-style paintings, the owner was amazed. Impressed by Reizu's talent, he wanted to introduce him to a publisher, catching Yuen's attention as he saw it as a perfect opportunity for the samurai.